Over 30 years have passed since The Simpsons' 1989 Fox television debut. Since then, over the course of dozens of TV seasons, there has been one subject that keeps coming up. Does this program genuinely foretell the future? After all, a great deal of what happens on the show actually occurs years later in reality. Here are the 10 times The Simpsons predicted the future. But first, I just ask you to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with new content. Three-Eyed Fish. In the 1990 season 2 episode 2 Cars in Every Garage and 3 Eyes on Every Fish, Bart captured Blinky, the three-eyed fish, and it ultimately ruined Mr. Burns' chance at becoming governor. Burns initially tries to explain that the mutation is truly an illustration of evolution, despite the fact that it is clearly brought on by nuclear waste from his power station. But when he can't stand its rotten taste, his popularity plummets and his campaign is destroyed. A three-eyed fish was also accidentally caught by some fishermen in the Argentinian city of Córdoba 27 years later. It was discovered in one of the numerous reservoirs in the city, which, as in The Simpsons, also happened to be tainted by runoff from the nearby nuclear power station. They chose not to try the mutant wolfish, unlike Mr. Burns, therefore it is uncertain if it tasted as horrible as Blinky. 9. The Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. Gunter and Ernst, who serve as a parody of the now-deceased entertainers Siegfried and Roy, have made appearances in a number of episodes of the program. In the 1993 episode Dollar Pringfield, in which they are hired to perform in Mr. Burns' new casino, they made one of their most enduring appearances. However, their white tiger, Anastasia, turns on her handlers when she remembers how they caught her in the wild and ends up severely mauling both of them. 10 years later, a tragedy occurred at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas during a regular Siegfried and Roy show. One of the white tigers owned by the duo bit into the latter's neck when he collapsed and dragged him off the stage. Thankfully, Roy survived the attack, and the huge cat that carried out the attack was unharmed. It's something like shooting fish in a barrel to foresee a wild animal attacking its keepers, but that doesn't make it any less of an accurate prediction. 8. The 2013 horsemeat scandal. Over the past 30 years, Lunchlady Doris has made infrequent appearances throughout the program. She is best known for her capacity to stretch the cafeteria's meager budget. As a result, the menu has featured some really inventive dishes. Although the horse flesh she served in 1994 wasn't the most shocking, it did turn out to have some significance later on. After it was determined that the majority of the meat accessible in shops was tainted with traces of horsemeat, Europe had one of the worst food disasters in recent memory almost 2 decades later. Horsemeat was occasionally passed off as other forms of meat, and traces of pork were even found in certain beef products. There were arrests, penalties, and the seizure of millions of dollars worth of meat. 7. Smartwatches. In the 1995 episode Lisa's Wedding, Lisa is granted a glimpse of her life 15 years in the future when she follows a white rabbit into a fortune-teller's tent at the Renaissance Fair. There, she meets Hugh, a man who wears a timepiece that doesn't look particularly futuristic but allows him to make and receive phone calls without using a mobile. In the years that followed, other businesses experimented with the concept of smartwatches, but it wasn't until 2009 that the first independent smartwatch entered the market. With the Berg's built-in SIM card, users may converse with others without connecting their watch to a phone. 6. Autocorrect. Martin nods in agreement with the new academic alert system at the school, and Kearney suggests Dolph take a memo to remind the other two to beat him up later. But when he enters the sentence into his Apple Newton, the gadget automatically changes it to "eat up Martha," which prompts Kearney to fling the Newton at Martin's head in annoyance. Even while autocorrect annoyances may be frequent today, this episode first aired in 1994, and many years before the function would become a commonplace part of daily life. The Simpsons may have supplied the first popular culture allusion to the frustrating inaccuracy of autocorrect, as there are now innumerable Facebook groups and websites devoted to the documentation of incorrect fixes. Well, do you like what you are seeing so far? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep watching because you don't want to miss what we have at the number 1 spot. 5. Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox. Homer befriends Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin in the 1998 episode When You Dish Upon a Star after smashing through the roof of their vacation home. They introduce him to Ron Howard, who ultimately steals his movie concept and pitches it to some Hollywood heavyweights. The following month's scene reveals 20th Century Fox to be a part of Disney. When CNBC reported that negotiations were ongoing in late 2017, the first acquisition rumors started to circulate. Disney and Comcast then engaged in a bidding war, with the former eventually consummating a purchase in March 2019. Even though it took far longer to complete than The Simpsons anticipated, the authors managed to get this one perfect as well. For Donald Trump's presidency, in 2011, The Simpsons foresaw Donald Trump becoming president. The second episode of the series to be predominantly set in the future is Bart to the Future, which debuted in 2000. Bart is shown to be a 40-year-old slacker, which may come as no surprise, but things are going well for his sister. President Trump lost his bid for re-election, and Lisa was recently elected President of the United States. The Simpsons were able to accurately foresee the business tycoon's decision to run for office, much alone win, 16 years before it really happened. Even though the episode is set in 2030, it's not quite a flawless forecast, and despite this seemingly insignificant fact, it's still an eerily precise coincidence. 3. Faulty voting machines. With more than 130 million Americans voting, the 2008 presidential election was the greatest turnout since 1968. However, the voting machine Homer is using in the opening sequence of A Treehouse of Horror 19 won't accept his vote for Obama, instead casting numerous votes for Mitt Romney, the Republican candidate. In the 2016 presidential election, 8 years later, it was discovered that a significant number of voting machines were switching votes, and they had to be taken out of service. The prevailing opinion appears to be that the machine's age, rather than malicious intent, was to blame for the issues. However, the voting machines miscounted votes, as The Simpsons had prophesied. 2. Multiple Nobel Prize winners. In the first episode of Elementary School Musical, which aired in September 2010, some Springfield elementary students make predictions about who will receive the year's Nobel Prize. Milhouse should get all the credit, even though Martin's predictions are revealed to be the most correct in the episode. Well, that would be him and the show's creators. In the years that followed, Bengt Holmstrom and William Murner would both win Nobel Prizes in related domains. Ben Feringa is the only other person on the other 10 names on the list to have received a Nobel Prize since the program aired, while some of the others have received nominations. 1. The Sacking of King's Landing. The series finale and final episodes of Game of Thrones have garnered praise as some of the most disappointing television ever produced. However, if these individuals had already seen the 2017 Simpsons episode The Simpsons, they might have at least been somewhat more prepared for what was to come. The authors of the program shifted their attention to Westeros after parodying other popular culture series like Harry Potter and My Little Pony in the past. They included aspects like the three-eyed raven, the Night King, and even dragons. In images that strongly resemble Daenerys' rampage in the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones, one of these dragons can be seen destroying the family's village as the show comes to a close. Even while it's not quite like for like, it's pretty close. So, that's it for today's video. What do you think of the number 1 spot? Hit us up in the comments and let's chat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for our channel so you never miss what's coming next from us. Thanks for watching.